Good morning, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. We are at 425 Southwest Cedarwood Avenue here in McMinnville. We are located down in the basement. I'm kind of getting myself all here. Right outside there is the street that lines up with the outbuildings where the parking lot area is at. That gives you any idea here. So I believe that's the front of the house. This might be it over here, but either way, we're shooting out the side of the home here. Going into 4-inch ABS, it swaps over immediately over to cast iron. We're checking the overall condition, serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. Water's running. Off we go. We're going to take a look at this spot right here when we come back out. There's a little bit of standing water, and the standing water is honestly rinky-dink. That's really not my concern. My camera kind of catches an edge there. We just transitioned over to concrete pipe. Appears to be transite. You've got holes that are opening up at the pipe joints there. You can see on the left side you've got a hole that's formed, and the right side starting to wear out too. Oh, and you got some stuff happening out here at this pipe joint. You got a bunch of dirt coming to that pipe joint, and a very clear, obvious hole that's formed there on the right side of the pipe wall, it looks like. The plus side you've got going for you here is that you've got good slope and grade. The importance of that is if you're trying to take advantage of an epoxy liner for your repairs. I will certainly be recommending repairs on that stuff there. But when you have a skeleton or good slope and grade anyway, subtract those issues from the equation. And it looks like you're starting to get some stuff seeping through here on both the top. Sorry, my water must have turned hot on me. We're getting kind of steamed up here. We'll get a nicer view when I pull the camera out. But on the left side and right side there, you can see those dark spots. That's moisture seeping through the pipe wall. Looks like you've got some holes, pinholes, or small cracks that have formed there. And then over time, what those eventually turn into is like what you saw prior to that point, a real hole that actually opens up wide. Now, usually the first thing that wears out on transite concrete, at least in my experience, I've been doing this for 13 years, transite, usually the pipe joints are the first thing that start to go. They'll start to crack down in kind of the bottom corners. If the pipe were to be square shaped anyway, we'd call it a corner. Down in the flow line area. And the configuration of this line is such here, I'm having kind of a hard time getting the camera to advance. Because McMinnville, unless something's changed recently, McMinnville generally takes responsibility for the line in the road. I believe their responsibility actually starts at the right-of-way. The big thing here, we're just going to try and scope everything that's on property. Nope, that looks like our main right there. Alright, we're going to go locate the camera head here really quick while the line drains out, and we'll take a better look at everything as we come back in here. And, given just the condition of the transite concrete at this point in time, parts and pieces of it obviously aren't to the point where they've got holes forming. But when you get a line that's this age with issues that's throughout a decent portion of it, it doesn't make sense to spot repair any longer. Fully updating makes more sense. It's far more cost effective, and you get a much better result out of it doing it at one time rather than parts and pieces. The other thing you got to keep in mind too, especially with the advent of epoxy liners, which I'm a big fan of, they generally save quite a lot of money, and they're certainly less invasive. If you let these old lines wear out for too long, to where the joints suck too much dirt through them and lead to hydro erosion, if a line settles too far, you lose your ability to do a liner on it. And then you're looking at more traditional type repairs, which are generally much more costly. So it kind of behooves you to stay ahead of these things these days if you want to try and take advantage of that type of repair process. You can fix it however you want to. That's just a method I would highly recommend looking into. All right, located the camera. I just forgot to glean the name of the street the line goes out to. If you're standing, you've got this big, beautiful fence that goes around the yard, and you've got a giant set of double-door gates, so you could like back a trailer into the yard. The line is going out through that area, not necessarily through the gate area, but just so you are aware, that's the direction the line heads out. I'll try and get the street name here in just a second. I'm using fluorescent pink paint today. You'll see a pink, it's a Y marking. The line doesn't tee onto the main, it Ys in. So you'll see that it terminates on the very far side of the road. We're almost up against the street curb on the opposite side of the street, at about 7 feet deep there. And one we're in currently right now looks more like standard concrete than transite. So a little bit of standing water here at the distance we are from the home. Also, mind you, this is going to be in the roadway and city responsibility, generally speaking. That level of standing water there is rinky-dink, has zero effect on flow at all. You'd have to abuse this thing like no tomorrow to get standing water like that to ever cause an issue. So you've also got dirt coming to these pipelines, and something to see on a line this age. Moisture concrete and transite concrete at this point in their existence is wearing out. We're just at that point in time with most of the stuff right now. So right here, the line, it appears to bell out there. There appears to be a diameter change. It almost doesn't quite look big enough to be going to 6-inch concrete. And you get some different pipe wall thicknesses from the olden days. Not everything meshes up perfectly. So we might be very well in also 4-inch concrete there, but it looks like it's bigger than that. I'm going to call it 6-inch, but it's kind of hard to say. I'm going to go see where we are here currently. All right, we're going out to Cedarwood right now. So that's Cedarwood there. So, you know, at the side of the house that faces out to Cedarwood, we'll call that the front. The line exits out the left side of the house and then runs out to Cedarwood. And we're getting very near the street curb. We're still in the road, but very close to the curb, about 6 feet deep there. My locate jumped between 6 and 6 foot 4 or 5 there. Anyway, you got dirt seeping through these pipe joints here. You've also got, you can see that dark standing at the top of the pipe. That's a general indication that moisture is seeping into the line. All right, we're sitting about 6-8 feet back from the curb in the yard right now. So if you see those little dark spots on the sidewalls there, both left and right side, how they come down and kind of fan out, you often, when you have that scenario there with that kind of dark staining that comes down from it, those are generally speaking little tiny pinholes where moisture is seeping through. It takes time before they develop into something larger than that, but that's what's going on there. You've got what looks like a little tiny bit of standing water in the line. However, my camera has also been scraping a bunch of grease and sludge off the bottom of the pipe, which can kind of get down line and dam the pipe up slightly. So I don't think, even if that is indeed true standing water there, I would be somewhat surprised if you still couldn't line through that and line over it. And the thickness those liners are should displace pretty much all that standing water. The only thing you got to make sure of is that the epoxy can cure up properly when there's a little bit of standing water around it like that. But if it were my house, that's the process I'd be looking into first and foremost. The line does appear, well, we're going to find out here, but I think it's going to go under some concrete walkways and stuff like that. We'll save some money. There's beautiful concrete work back here. I'd hate to see that. All right, now we're getting right up against the fence line. We're just about to cross into on the back side of the fence right now. And seeing the layout thus far, I can't tell if this far left portion of the house here is an addition. There's a crawl space portion of the house. The line may actually be turning. It may not pop out the left side of the house. It might actually turn underneath the crawl space area and shoot out that direction. I was first eyeballing this thing. I didn't realize that was there. Got dirt on the left side seeping through that pipe joint too there. And Translite are not grouted pipe joints. They have rubber furnicos. You can see the rubber in between the pipe ends. On regular standard concrete that's grouted, sometimes there can be some difficulty in telling if you're looking at excess grout or dirt coming through. That's just not what they use to seal these joints up. So when you get substance protruding through it like that, it's undoubtedly dirt. All right, we're going to go do a locate here and see if we're shooting under the house or not. Now I am so close to the foundation wall, it's hard to tell right now if this is just barely outside the house or barely inside. I'm going to see if I can catch this thing right as it pops out. All right, so I just pushed back out. Right now I'm between the front left corner of the house and the fence line. And just look at the trajectory the line's taking. It's really, really hard to tell. These locators are very accurate, but I don't start trusting them when we're talking mere inches and centimeters. The line may be just barely inside the foundation wall. It might also be underneath the foundation wall of that crawl space area portion of the house. It's extremely difficult to tell. But either way, I mean, you don't want to have bad pipe joints and bad sewer pipes that close to your foundation wall. I mean, what obviously happens is dirt can start getting sucked through and undermined foundations and things of that sort. So we also have there's a Y connection right here at 16 feet. My first assumption is that is probably some type of pipe that comes off this home. There's also a hole that's forming there on the right side. It's hard to see the angle running at, but that's a hole there on the right side. Doesn't appear to be like a drain tie-in. Same thing at that location there. The shape of it is just wonky. It doesn't appear to be a drain connection. Being at the proximity we are to the home, I start to wonder if that, potentially could be drains tying in, but it looks like a hole. This thing just dives like crazy right there. All right, I'm going to see if I could pick up a locate. I'm going to go walk over in that addition area and see if I can get a locate over there. I think you've got bad concrete pipe that's running underneath the crawl space area of the home, which you certainly do not want to have. So, and it also makes for a very awkward repair to do traditionally. So this is one that if you can, you really want to look into the epoxy liner setup. But there is a Y connection here from kind of an unknown source. It could be a lot of different things. It could be a storm system tie-in. There could be something sewer related there, actual sewage going through that. Party line is another possibility, feasibly. It's just hard to say. Okay, so where we're at right now, we're basically, it's again hard to tell if we're underneath the house, under the foundation wall, or just barely outside of it, or maybe halvesies almost. I turned on the tub in the master bathroom to see if water went through that Y connection, and it's not. It's coming from behind the camera, as you can see here. So I will notate this on the report. I'm unsure of where this Y is originating from. And this is going to be where I end my locates. I could put markings outside the foundation wall. I'm just not confident that's actually where the line is at. And it's what makes it even harder is the hard angle we're diving at here. It can kind of mess up the locate signal, how it comes through the ground. But anyway, you've got a hole here. I mean, you've got a myriad of pipe joints throughout the concrete that are shot, that have dirt coming through them. You've got holes that are forming. That one there is pretty sizable. So this is one where I would have a contractor out here, a repair contractor, one that's got more time and manpower that can kind of flesh out where this stuff is situated. The water, again, you're looking at right now, this is flowing water. That's not standing there. So I would recommend here is everything from this point here at about 5 feet out to the end of homeowner responsibility be updated due to the condition of the concrete pipe. It's got fairly reasonable slope and grade to it. Unfortunately, it is definitely not a watertight pipe any longer. All right, I just turned the tub off there. Want to get a little bit nicer view of this pipe bottom here in the cast iron. where I hit that little edge. Some odd striations or lines up at the top of the pipe there. I don't get puzzled this very much after 25,000 sewer scopes. I'm not sure what those little lines were created by. At first glance, it almost looks like root strands, but they don't come back and originate out of a pipe joint. It might just be odd stain. The other possibility is my camera, because it's gone through all the sludge that it has, scraped grease and sludge off on top of the pipe. That might just be all that's going on there. All right, so what is happening here in the cast irons, what I was a little bit worried about. It's not perforated through, but you're channeling. That right there, you can see my camera's going down a groove. That's where the metal is being eaten away. And eventually what happens is the pipe bottom rots out into the ground. So if I see channeling to that extent, what I'm going to recommend here is an update of the cast iron and transite concrete at this point. The cast iron, again, it doesn't appear perforated through, but you can see how deep that groove is. This pipe material is only so thick before it's just going to wear out right through the bottom of the pipe. And if you're already going to be out here doing an update on this stuff, there's no reason to leave this behind. This is, you get your best view right here. You can see how deep that trough is getting. So that's what I'd recommend at this point. And that too is also lineable if you wanted to go that route. There's sometimes a little bit more complication in doing, we'll see if we have any drain tie-ins here. Sometimes you have to do what's called a reinstatement, where you have to reinstate a drain connection. I am not seeing any obvious tie-ins here, which makes that repair process quite a bit easier when you don't have to go in and bore a hole through the liner you just installed. And a bit of this stuff can be dealt with just down here, but it does go through this big concrete foundation wall. That right there is about the only tie-in that's obvious that I see. And the cast iron in this location, it does not have channeling going on in it. So it's everything out here. My camera backed out for some reason. The foot counter changed a little bit. It looks like it's just about where the cast iron starts to go through the foundation wall. Now, at this juncture in time, if you're going to be messing with stuff going to the foundation wall, I would also recommend dealing with this stuff in here. But your channeling starts just after, right around the point you start to go to that foundation wall right there. So the part that's unknown to me, it's very hard to tell, is where that pipe is actually situated once it gets underneath the house there, the crawl space area. Once the line starts to turn, my locator just cannot discern as to whether or not that is under the house, partially under the house, or completely underneath it, or outside of it. It's just so close to that foundation wall. If you go the liner route, that really does not matter a whole lot, unless that Y connection down there, like if I'm looking at this and thinking this from worst case scenario, the only possible thing I can think of other than being a storm drain connection or some kind of sewer tie-in from this house is that the addition, or possible addition, I don't know if it was an addition or not, was built on top of a party line connection or something like that, which I have seen before. So it's something I would look into and try and flesh out. I ran that bathroom up there. That seemed like the most likely spot because of where we were located. All that water routed through here right around where the cleanout's at. So anyway, recommend all cast iron and transite concrete in general within homeowner responsibility be updated due to the condition of the line. I recommend a rescope afterwards to check the work. It's very important to do that.